This is the Reinforce Your Gym podcast with your host, Dustin Vogel. This show is about arming gym owners with the tools, strategies, and lessons they need to take their business to the next level. That way, they can make a greater impact in their community. Now, let's get to work and reinforce your gym.
We're getting real, raw, and honest on this week's episode of the Reinforce Your Gym podcast. If you guys don't know me, my name is Dustin Vogel. I scaled from 1 to 6 gyms in 6 years, and now I want to help you to grow your business. And today I'm giving you 5 harsh truths that a gym owner needs to confront. And they're harsh truths that I had to accept, and I'm hoping by passing them on to you, they can help you avoid a lot of pain and grow your business much quicker, all right? So let's dive into these things, okay? The first one that I want to tackle right out of the gate is you are burning yourself out. All right, here's what I mean by that, gym owners. You're wearing all the hats. You are at the point of mental and physical exhaustion, and you are starting to lose your passion for fitness. And that is a sign that you're moving towards burnout. Nobody gets burned out on what they do. They get burned out when they forget why they're doing it. And it's because you don't see an end in sight. You're like, why did I even start this business? Why am I a gym owner? At the end of the day, I bet it's because of one word, right? Freedom. You want to create more financial freedom for yourself and your family. You want to create more time freedom, but you are blocking yourself from achieving that because you're getting a dopamine hit from doing all the things, from being the problem solver, from being the hero. Like, I got it, I'll coach all the sessions. And because we're so used to grinding in the gym, we then apply it to our business only to find out it doesn't work. All right. What you got to change your mindset from is who, not how, right? And so it's like becoming a master delegator. Instead of tackling everything and being the hero and say, how am I going to cram this into my day? Who is going to do this? And starting to become like Superman, right? Where we think it's muscling our way, but instead I'm like, all the bullets are coming towards me and I want them to bounce and go to somebody else, right? And so those bullets are tasks, things that you got to do. Your job as a business owner is job creation. All right. You should be on a nonstop war path to be creating jobs because you're creating so much revenue, whether it's the first gym and then you go and you open multiple locations. Like, business is growing. That means I'm creating jobs, and that's what we are after. Right. And that means you're having the mindset that I'm not going to do it. I'm going to create a job that someone else is going to do this instead. So you're creating coach jobs, you're creating manager jobs, sales reps, bookkeepers, cleaning people. Like, all these jobs are coming us out of you growing your business, which is a good thing. And so first, the biggest job we know is our coaches, right? That's at the end of the day, what we sell, the product is being delivered by our coaches. And because we don't sell a actual product that you hold in your hand, a tangible product, it's an experience, it's a feeling, it's these workouts and this coaching experience. Your coaches are the biggest thing that you can have eyes on and mentor. And so I would ask you, like, hey, you're probably burned out, definitely if you're coaching too much. But number 2, how much are you downloading what you've learned into your team? Or do you just expect them to quote unquote get it, right? You have to carve out time where you mentor and you train and you develop your team so that they can get better. You can grow their skills, right? Because everything that you've done as a coach and everything you've done as a gym owner is trainable. The question you got to always ask yourself is the time to train them worth it, right? And so I would argue yes, because you're probably only going to find 2 types of trainers available to hire. Is number 1 would be a factory installed trainer, meaning they have the experience, they know training, they're very smart when it comes to all the book related stuff, and maybe they're even good at relationships and talking to people. Those trainers, they'll come at a high price point. They know their value. They have been around the block. They're experienced. And so you're going to have to pay very competitive, if not above market average price to get these trainers. Or the second, which is how I grew my business, is junior skilled trainers. It's their first year. Maybe they're not even certified. They're just going through their certification, or they have 1 or 2 or 3 years max in the industry. And so they're like a baby in the industry, but that's cool. I get to mold them and show them how to do things, and I could be their mentor and train them. But that means, like, I'm going to save on the hourly wage, but that means I'm going to have to give some time investment because they don't come factory installed. And so at the end of the day, that's where you got to make that call, right? It's time or money. It's always one of the two. So if you're trying to save on money, you got to give up your time and you got to spend time training your coaches, which to me helps with retention and it helps with conversion. It helps with culture. Like you feel fulfilled when you're coaching someone and mentoring someone. So like a lot of good things come from it. And your team is not a cost. They're an investment, right? They're an investment in your client's experience. They're an investment in your business. So that is harsh truth number one. You're burning yourself out because you're not creating jobs and you're not training people on how to do those jobs well so you can be removed from that day-to-day operation, right? And if you love coaching, it's not a guilt trip that you should like, no one should coach, but it's nice when you get to choose. You're like, hey, I only am coaching 5 or 10 hours and I choose that that's the right amount for me. And then I'm spending time developing my team, right? So like put some team training on the calendar, book what are the times that we can all meet up once a quarter and what are the 3 or 4 things that I want to cover with them that are mission critical that I don't ever get to say because we're like ships passing in the night. It's just morning crew, waves high to evening crew as they're leaving. That's not going to be great for your business long term. So harsh truth number 1 right there. All right. We're going to keep going. Harsh truth number 2. Lack of data is making you emotional, right? I'm a big fan of that phrase, data over emotions, because when you have data, you're clear, right? If I see a car and I see the price tag, I could say, does that fit my budget? Yes or no, right? If I see the cost of something or the investment of something, I can say, do I want to pay that price tag? I got data, right? Things are coming at me all the time. And so when you have data, you're clear. When you don't have it, when you lack it, you can only operate on your default setting, which is your emotions, your feeling, and how you feel about something. And that's what all the keyboard warriors get people all riled up on social media about is like, no one has any proof. They're just like, especially now making AI images or saying I heard, or I was talking to someone and that someone told me, and it's like, who cares? Like that's not data. That's just like, that's the rumors, right? And so like now we're getting into emotional feeling. And so our monkey brain, our reptile brain, however you want to phrase it, is default wired to find threats and to look for the negative. That's why we get drawn to negative news more than positive news. Like Tony Robbins even told a story like, hey, we're walking down the street, we see a newspaper for sale, which I don't know if those even still exist. But he's like, if the forecast shows sunny skies for the next 5 days, we look at each other, we smile, and we continue walking down the street, right? But when we look at the forecast and it says a storm is coming in 3 days and it might be a big storm, we both give the newsstand our money and we buy a paper. We want to read about it. And then we're texting people, right? That's the one time where people are messaging you about the weather. When the weather's going to be bad. Oh my God, did you hear it's going to be too hot? Did you hear it's going to be too cold? Did you hear the storm's coming? No one messages you when it's a perfect day, right? And so that's our brains at work looking for threats, looking for problems. So when you don't have data, your brain's just going to look for problems and it's going to mislead you, right? And I hear it all the time in how gym owners talk when they say very extreme positives or very extreme negatives. I know they're operating our emotions. So they say, oh, Dustin, you get them to the door, we close everybody, right? Everybody of 100% closing. When you don't know your percentages, I know you don't know your numbers. You know, when we get them on membership, they stay a really long time. We'll define really long, right? Is that 6, 12, 24, 36 months? What's really long? Again, clear that the person doesn't have their data. Our community is amazing. It's positive. Everybody loves it, right? And it's like, does everybody show up to your events? Does everybody show up? You have 100% attendance daily? Well, there's something missing there if that's not true. So like these very like everybody, nobody, like no one wants this offer, nobody this, everybody that all is signs to me that this person's operating out of emotions and very extreme positives and negatives, which we know life is more in the middle, right? And so I want to get numbers make things clear. And so I want data over emotions. I want to know what are the exact numbers and then what are we doing activity wise and what outcomes are coming from those activities. All these things help. So that's the big harsh truth, guys, right now. Get clear on your numbers. Again, I would tell you if you don't know your numbers, you only got to really get dialed in on 4. If you want to know these big 4, it's leads will tell you how well your marketing function is going. Trials or appointments, if you do appointment setting, that tells you how well your lead nurture function is going. Membership sales tells you how well your sales process and function is going, and then attrition or retention, right? You could look at both, whatever you look at, but essentially that tells you how good your product and your deliverability is. So like you can get a touch on your 4 main functions of your business by just tracking those 4 numbers once a month, right? And that is the only numbers you need. So don't get overwhelmed. Don't think I need 10 or 20 numbers. Most owners just need 4 to get started, all right? We're going to move on. Harsh truth number 3. Constant change is hurting your business. All right. If you're like me, it's really easy to sell myself on new changes. And sometimes that comes from us over consuming content. We're watching too many videos. We're reading too many books. We're listening to too many podcasts, and it's filling our brain with all these ideas of these things we should change and things we can do and make better. But I have found, and I even heard this from Hormozi, which I heard it, I was like, this is so true. Every time you make change in your business, you can expect about a 20% dip below baseline, a drop, right? Because change, no matter if it's good or bad, the team now has to reacclimate. It's like, whoa, they changed onboarding, they changed our sales process, they changed the offer. We're not used to doing things. We got to kind of find our feet again. And so this dip happens, but then the team acclimates, right? And so the thought process and what tends to happen if you make a good change is you got that 20% dip, but then it comes back to baseline and you get a 5% gain, right? And so that is what you're hoping would happen. But here's what business owners and gym owners can do to ourselves is one change leads to another change, leads to another change. And we change so much, we actually create a downward cycle and we never allow things to come up. Just as things are coming up or we don't even give the team enough time to acclimate, we're on to the next change, we're on to the next change. And the business actually starts declining because of us having a never-ending cycle of change and never allowing the team to feel like things are going to be static for a little. Let me kind of get my bearings here again. And so again, we can be sold by gurus and books and podcasts, all these new ideas, and we want to implement all this change. But here's how I look at it now. A few questions for you to kind of stop and consider. Is this change worth the down cycle, right? Like if I know if I change something and things are going to go down, is it worth it? Do I really see we're going to create a big upside from this change? Or is this like a small thing that really doesn't matter, right? You know, it's like you can get sold that this little thing can make such a big deal and it really doesn't, right? So is it worth it? And then second, how do I know, right? Is there any proof or am I operating without data? I'm operating out of in my brain. And the way that you can know, because one of those things is like, I don't know till I do it. Talk to someone who has done that change and get some consulting, right? Whether it's a peer, whether it's a mentor, it's well worth it to talk to someone else, say, how did this change go? Like, again, they went ahead of you and, you know, what do you wish you did differently? Was it worth it? You can kind of talk through that. Now, if you got a change you want to make that you don't know anyone that's done it, I get it. You got to go forward and do it. But what I would ask yourself is, what are you going to do to get that dip up and to get out of the dip as quickly as possible? What tends to be is like we take this delegation mindset a little too seriously. And so we just delegate changes. And then we just point at the team and say, it's your guys' fault. You didn't do this change correctly. But I would turn it to you and say, how have you contributed to the change? How have you contributed to the current state of the business? And what have you done, right? Because we're so quick to say that it's the team's fault. The team didn't take action. The team didn't follow the plan as I told them, you know, and so it's like, hey, but it was your idea to make this change. And why did you make it? And how did you contribute? I think that's one of the most best questions that an owner can ask themselves, because like that requires you to have full ownership over the change and what you did to help get us out of the change as quickly as possible, right? So that's harsh truth number 3, guys. Constant change is really hurting your business. Be careful, be thoughtful, post about it on social, go into my group. If you guys don't know, I have a Facebook group for gym owners called Gym Owners Marketing and Mindset. Post in there the change that you're thinking of making and see what other gym owners have to say. I'll chime in, but that is the third harsh truth. Okay, let's go to number 4. Thinking in years, not in months. Okay, gym owners have been trained, and I'm guilty of this too. Because of our industry language and our culture, we've been trained to think short term because everything's around monthly, right? What's our monthly recurring revenue? What's your monthly attrition? What's your monthly numbers? Some months, let's face it, are going to be good and some are going to be flatline, like they're going to be the same as the previous, and some are going to be down. But the truth is, you got to expand your horizon of what you look at. How are things trending quarterly? How are things trending annually? You know, again, if you get emotional because of one bad month, man, you're just making life harder on yourself and for your team. And unfortunately, you're burning bridges with your biggest allies, the people who, you know, are there trying to help out and be part of the solution. It's really easy to go and put them on blast, right? And so essentially, that's where you got to say, like, are things actually moving in a good direction long term? If not, you know, let's obviously make some changes. But don't freak out because of one bad month. It happens, right? It's business. No business has just a nonstop upward trend. It's just like weight loss. There's like ups and downs, but they trend up over time. And so, kind of going back to my previous harsh truth, if things aren't trending in the right direction, have you changed anything recently, or do you keep changing things? Well, that might be why, right? It might be none of the systems are broken. It's just we're in a constant state of change. So think about it like this. I know, again, we tend to think in months in the fitness industry, but let's face it, you signed a lease for years. You probably want to be in business for years. This is how you're going to feed your family for years. So why are we thinking month to month, right? Instead, let's ask ourselves, if someone checked in with you 1 year from now, do you think things are going to be better? And if they checked in with you 3 years from now, are they going to be far better, right? And so that's a better question than say, how are things going to be in a month? How are they going to be in 3 months? Well, the reason you're so stressed out is because you're putting pressure on yourself that they need to be better in 1 or 3 months. And let's be honest, if we're making good changes and we're being strong leaders and we're hiring good people and we're providing a good service, now it's just the sticking with it, right? It's the resilience of doing it for months and years nonstop and allowing that compound to take time, right? So it's about perseverance of doing hard things for a long period of time. Most owners that are, again, doing things the right way, I find when you fast forward and you give them time and allow it to compound, their business did get better. It did improve. And the owners who are like highly emotional and like, I need things to be fixed now. Well, you fast forward 1 or 3 years and they're still in that state. So it all comes down to you and your mindset and your thinking. Don't put so much pressure on yourself for things to be better in a month or 3 months. Like, things take time, right? So give yourself that longer vision of looking in years, right? We want to make small, gradual improvements, just I even say 3 or 5% improvements. If you compound that over years, you have a whole nother business, and in a good way, right? It's completely grown. So the problem is everyone wants it now. It's funny because a lot of things that we point the finger and say like, oh, kids these days, they don't get it. But I talk to a lot of gym owners that are like millennials, and they're very now minded too, right? And I think that's just humans. Like, we want things and we want it now, and we're impatient. So I heard a couple phrases that help with this. Be impatient for actions, but be patient for results, right? What we can control, focus on that, control on your outputs, but you cannot control the outcomes and the inputs, right? We have clues. We're like, okay, when I do more emails, when I do more calls, when I post more on social media, I see more inbound to the gym. More people are walking in, more people are calling. So like, okay, I can't control how many people pick up the phone, but I know if I do more dials, if I send more texts, if I send more emails, as long as, again, they're well written and well scripted and they're valuable, I will see inbound come in. So again, be impatient for actions. Like, hey, team, we got to be taking action. Let's go. But like, I'm not going to freak out on the results or outcome because they don't have any control over that, right? And so like, be thoughtful of that. You can tell the perfect script to your team to ask for a referral, but if nobody refers, we can't be mad at the trainer. It's like, oh, it's your fault. It's like, hey, they did what you said, right? We controlled what we can control. So think in years, not months. Think in what you can control. Don't get so crazy about the outcomes. All right. Fifth and final harsh truth for gym owners, and obviously this is going to hit home for me being a agency owner, is Facebook ads aren't your only lead source. All right. It almost sounds like I'm talking myself out of a job. Dustin, why would you say that? You own a marketing agency, you're trying to help owners with their ads, and you're saying it's not the only lead source? Because I've seen the owners that do best with us this is just another pole that they're putting in the water for their marketing. It's not the pole, right? And that's the owners who don't work out well with us, is they're like, I hired you guys because I have 0 leads and I need leads ASAP, and I'm very dependent on that. Well, we've learned that's almost a red flag. You got no leads? Uh-oh, you must not have a very good product. You should be getting healthy referral source every single month. You should be getting people inbounding you and searching you out, and you should be getting steady 5-star reviews, and you got none of that, and you need us to come in and fix it. That's actually a red flag for us, right? We've learned. And so we don't want you to depend on Facebook only, not to say like, hey, we don't want all that pressure. We can handle it, but there's something going on. If you got 0 leads and you need to turn on this Facebook engine to create leads, right? Because what happens if there's things even out of our control? We get in, and we've found this multiple times, the owner's ad account has been shut down and they didn't know because they haven't ran ads for a year. Or we throw an offer out and it doesn't work. these are situations where then an owner's freaking out because I thought, oh my God, I have no leads in here. I thought you guys were going to fix it and it's been a month and it's not fixed. Oh my God, where's my leads? You need to have a multiple poles in the water mindset. So here's my advice is to always think about your 3 buckets of sales, okay? First bucket is unconverted leads. So these are leads that you are getting on your Facebook ads, but then it's your database. That's the part of this bucket people forget about. They've spent the money and they got 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 leads sitting in their CRM and they haven't emailed or texted these people in months or years. And it blows my mind because you've paid good money for these leads and you're not making them offers, right? So that is bucket number 1. Yes, new leads are great, but don't forget about your database. We find a lot of good leads in that database, right? And these, again, are people who never bought anything. These are unconverted leads. Second bucket, referrals, all right? And there's layers to referrals. There's referrals from your members, and then there's referrals from anybody who are on a trial or a challenge. They can refer too, right? If they've been enjoying this trial experience, ask them for a referral. And these are the best leads because these people are being pre-sold by your member. Your member's basically acting like a salesperson, talking you up, and then they're coming in basically pre-sold, ready to buy. Just like, where do I sign up? Let's go. And so my question to you is, are you waiting for referrals to happen, or are you actively running referral campaigns, meaning like special promotions that if a member does this, they get that? Because I don't like to ask my members to work for me and to grow my gym for free. Like, I like to incentivize them somehow. Maybe they get a discount on their next month for a member that gets referred, or they get swag, or they get cash money, something referral driven. But if you're like, hey, we don't really play that, we wait for people to refer to us, well, that's only hurting your business, is that mindset. All right. So that's your second bucket, referrals, guys. Ask for them and ask for them regularly. The third is reactivations. These are people who got to membership level. They were on a monthly membership and canceled for whatever reason, time, schedule change, money, financial change, whatever, like things happen, people leave. Well, how often are you doing a personal reach out? And I think that that's very much a very valuable thing for an owner or manager to do, is not to just blast text these people and offer a personal reach out. Hey, it's been 3 months since you left our gym. How are things going with your fitness goals, right? And whether you do a personalized video from your phone, or you text them, or you call them, but like take some time and write some personalized reach out, because these people, they already know, like, and trust you. They're just needing to be made an offer and checked in on. And this is another great bucket, right? And so again, I don't put these in the unconverted leads because they have been converted. They got to membership level. They're not in referral because they're not in there actively. They're a third bucket, and the way that you sell to them should be a little different because they've already been in your doors, versus the unconverted leads. They've never trained with you, so they need to be educated and have that baseline understanding. But I find that the gyms that are growing the quickest, they are leveraging all of these buckets. They don't just depend on Facebook ads. And again, that sounds counterintuitive coming from an agency owner, but these are things that we coach owners on, and we make offers for them and show them how to run these things systematically. And we even guide them through it month by month, because we know you got a lot on your plate and you need some reminders and some help. So guys, that's it. Those are my 5 harsh truths. Obviously, if you need our help, go ahead and book a call. Me and my team, go to gymreinforcements.com. Leave your credit card at home. It's a no pressure conversation. It's just like a meet and greet, and just see if GR can potentially help you grow your business. Those are the 5 harsh truths. Take notes, think about them, and take action. Obviously, that's the biggest thing you can do to get the most value from this episode. Appreciate you guys. Talk soon. Gym owners, I don't want you to have the reputation in town as the gym that doesn't call people back, all right? We know it's critical when someone's finally made a decision to get healthy and fit that we get to them as quickly as possible. This can be solved by plugging in our remote sales reps, okay? It's not AI, it's not a bot, it's a real human that's working on your leads, the new ones that come in from your ads and the old leads in your database. And they're there to qualify the leads, to ask them discovery questions, and to make sure they're a good fit. And then their job is to move them forward in your sales process so that you get more members month over month. All right, if you want to learn about our remote sales reps, go ahead and go to gymreinforcements.com, book a call, and we'll tell you more about it. See you then.